coughing out pre-workout, but whatever, it's Buff the Magic Dragon. Hell yeah. I said this was a free preview of what it's like to be inside the group. So today we're going to be a little raw because if you're inside the group, Josh is going to be taking dry shots of pre-workout and just being real and raw and hanging out with you guys. So Sean just joined this morning. Awesome, friend. Congrats. So proud of you. So excited for you. I think if I remember right, you're already connected with your master coach. You with Tiffany? Awesome. Hell yeah. Who here? Megan joined last night. Beautiful. I would love to see. Can you give me a 1 in the chat if you're already signed up for the small group? Give me a 2 if you were like really thinking about it. Not quite sure. Give me a 3 if you're like, no, dude, I'm just here to laugh at you coughing up, energized. That's fine. There's no pressure to be anything. It's totally fine. But I see several 2s, some 3s. I see lots of 1s. Kim Kinning is already signed up. Sean Thomas is already signed up. We've got 2s, 3s. Almost there, confirming with my husband finances. Awesome. Hopefully he's not on the call right now watching Josh just take dry shots of paper. He's like, no, I'm not giving you money to work with that human being. That's not happening. Went from 3 to 1 this morning. Told the limiting beliefs to kick the rocks. I love Sean. Can I chat with you for a second? I would love to just hear what switched in here. I think you and Chelsea had a chat, but I would love to hear what was going through your brain and then what switch did you make to ultimately realize I need to do this?
So you and I actually spoke back in April, and
Yeah,
I
I
told you
remember.
how my son's going to college in August,
Yep.
and I was like, I need to save all of my money for that. And then this morning I was like, but you know what? If you spend that money now, how much more can you make by the time he goes to college in August?
Yeah.
If you go all in with your business right now,
Yeah.
you can make that back and more and not be worried about those finances. So
I love that, friend. I love
thank
that,
you.
friend. That's a great tweak to make. I mean, I had to do the same thing, guys, when I joined a life coach certification back in 2014. At the time it was 5,000. I think that program has gone up quite a bit since then, but like we were behind on all of our bills. And so there was an element of me that was like, you're literally stealing from your family to do this thing. And then I had to be like, wait a second. But if I don't do this thing, what can I actually give to my family? And the reality is, we were just going to be stuck in the exact same situation month after month after month after month. And I said, I know that this adds some like temporary extra pressure. But if I will use that as my motivation to like go all in and actually do what I'm supposed to do, then this could be the thing that literally means we never struggle like that ever again. And this is really, really important. I am not an advocate of just spending because some people are like, you have to spend money to make money. You don't have to. Like, you don't have to spend money to make money. You don't have to. That is not like a rule, okay? But I will say this, if you've been struggling to show up for yourself the way I did all through my 20s, where I just kept quitting business after business after business after business, if you can find a program that actually gives you the accountability, that's where the game changer can come. And I know so many people have been like, I've invested in courses before, they didn't help me, they didn't work. And I just want to remind you of this real quick. Course equals learning one specific thing. So even if the course is really good and really amazing and you learn that one specific thing really, really well, what did we learn this week? Is there one singular thing that fixes your business? No, there's not. So I want you to remember that a course can be a powerful supplement if and when, one, you know the exact one singular thing you need to get your business to the next level. And if I'm being super honest, there's not usually one singular thing that takes you to the next level unless you're already in the six or multi six figures. For me personally, having a 7-figure business, I usually am looking for one specific thing that I know is a little bit of a hole that we have. But that's because we have 20 other things that are already working really well together. We don't need, sorry for going sports terminology, we don't need to draft the next Michael Jordan when we already have our Michael Jordan and Dennis Rodman and Scottie Pippen. We just need a Steve Kerr to come off the bench and shoot a three occasionally. Like that's all we just need, that 6-foot white guy that doesn't really do anything other than make a he could score. That's all we needed. But if you are currently like losing season after season after season after season, one Steve Kerr added to the roster is not going to make a championship team. So sorry if you don't understand 90s sports. All the other players I mentioned are really good. Steve Kerr is just kind of like, okay. Steve Kerr was my dream. I was like, I know I'm not going to be the next Michael Jordan, but if I could just find a way to grow to 6 feet tall, I could be Steve Kerr, you know? And I only made it to 5'9". So not a lot of people are making it in the NBA at 5'9" when they also can't jump very high. So I just had everything working against me there. But the thing you really need, oh, your husband was okay, good. Your husband understood the analogy. He can explain it to you later if you need to. So if you are currently a team, again, this is an analogy, that's losing a lot of games, meaning you're not increasing your sales, you're not increasing the amount of people joining your team. If you're not increasing things, you don't need one singular thing that adds on to your business. You need a full business makeover. Okay? You need like the whole thing from the ground up built. And that's where a performance group comes in. And here's why. It combines the action you need to take all the way around. Okay. It combines that with learning the things that make all of that actually click and work. Okay. So, like, you guys are not going to, sorry for the sports analogies, you're not going to a dribbling camp or a shooting camp or a practice camp. You're going to basketball camp. Okay. We're going to learn the actual sport from the ground up. And some of you have been doing this for 3 or 4 years, but like, I'm just going to be super real with you. If your sales aren't growing consistently and regularly, it doesn't really matter how long you've been doing this. Something isn't working, something isn't clicking, something isn't missing. So please, 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 please don't be the person that's like, well, I've been doing this for 4 years. I don't think I need a business makeover. Well, if it's not growing and it's not working, then I would argue with you on that. And I would also argue, I love you guys so much. I would also argue that 99% of network marketers don't actually know anything about marketing. That's a problem because business is like 80% marketing. Okay. Now, obviously, there's the mindset stuff we talked about that if you don't get that under control, you won't be able to take any of the action. But when we combine, I just want you to hear me out for a second. When you combine, you're right. Muggsy was 5'9", but actually Muggsy was 5'3". And then Spud Webb was 5'9". But they were also way faster than me and could jump way higher than me. And they were exceptions to the rules, not the rule. Okay. Now we've got now. So in the 90s, you could be 6 foot tall and be white as long as you could shoot threes. Okay. 2024, you better be 6'11" and be able to shoot threes if you're a white guy. Like that's just what it is. Like nobody's drafting a 6-foot white guy to shoot a 3-pointer. You better be like 6'11" or like 7'2". It's so yeah, I was screwed no matter what. But back to what I was saying. So I will get distracted with sports all day. Okay. What happens when we have a program that one works on fixing your mindset for good by actually digging into the subconscious? How many of you, the things you learned about the subconscious this week was really the first time anyone has taught that subject on that deep of a level? Show me jazzies. So if you haven't ever done that kind of work, well, we need to get started on that ASAP. Okay. Two, the daily action you literally have to do in your business. And we can pretend all day and night you don't have to take that action. Okay. And once again, I will ask you to look at whether or not your sales and your team are growing. We can pretend we don't have to take daily action. Okay. But I don't think any of us are silly enough to think this business is growing by itself. Okay. We have to do something. Right. And then three, you also learn how to market in a way that feels good and works. Okay. This is really important that we have those two things working for us because, I found that I think I joked about this the other night. We have an entire industry, it's 99% women. And yet it took a dude to come in and teach feminine sales and marketing because most of the sales and marketing within the network marketing world really does, if you look at the root of it, goes back to a lot of bro marketers from like the 80s and 90s. And their only job was like, we just have to talk to every single person, pass out our business card, even at the grocery store. We got to sign up our cousins and our uncles and our brothers and our sisters and our moms. And we just need a message as many people as humanly possible every single day. And that probably did work in the 80s and 90s when everyone in the world was like, what? I've never even heard of something like. But we live in a more modern world where people know what's going on when someone shows up in their DMs. Like when you show up as someone that has never talked to a human being ever before in their DMs, they're not excited to hear from you. They're not like, "Oh, what's that? You have an opportunity for me? Tell me all about it." That is not happening. Okay? So, we got to get good at this stuff or the business is probably not going to grow. Okay. So let's dig in today to some done for you, but I got to teach a little bit first. The one thing I try really hard to do is kind of teach what I'm doing before I do it. Otherwise, there's not really a good way for you to duplicate it. Okay. And that's a huge part of the small group is yes, there is done for you marketing, but I'm always teaching the lessons first so that you're not just depending on Josh for the rest of your life to write you a post. Cause I probably won't be there 5 years from now when you like need to make a post. I won't be there every single Tuesday morning that you're crafting your post. Okay. So we got to learn. So I want everyone to write this down. 3 steps to marketing to build a successful business. Number 1, expand. If I don't have new people coming in regularly, I'm talking to the same people over and over and over and over and over and over. That does not go over well. Okay. What I have found personally is the people that we have in front of us, whether that's Facebook, whether that's Instagram, an email list, whatever that is, about 10-ish% of those people are capable of converting if we have the right things put in place. And about 90% of them, no matter what you say or do, are never going to sign up. And that's just what it is. There is no magic pill that's going to make the wrong people sign up. Like that's just not going to happen. And anyone who says they can make the wrong people sign up is probably doing some type of manipulation bullshit that I don't believe in. Okay. Business is about connecting with the right people, serving the people that want what you have to offer, not convincing a bunch of people to buy that then hate your guts for the rest of their life. That's not how we want to do business. So if you think about who you currently have right now, okay, as soon as you get into the program, which I know I posted this in the 626 group for those of you that are new, watch the questions that convert, dig into that, because if you just take that one singular teaching that I gave you, you can go convert a shit ton of people that are already there. Okay. When you ask people the right questions and get them into the right flow, you can convert a bunch of people that are already there. Okay. But if we're not expanding our audience, who are we going to convert next month? Does that make sense? So there's always a lid on your ability to sell based on how many new people you're bringing in regularly. Okay. Now, it's really important that you expand the right way because we want to build the right audience. Okay. And I'm not going to dig all the way into that today. That's a whole nother teaching that I talk about inside the performance group. But this whole thing is built on the belief bridge that I talked to you guys about the other night. We're going to dig into that a little bit more today. I don't want to just add 500 people to my network if they aren't the kind of people that are interested in the thing I want to talk about. So a super hack to expanding your audience is expanding your audience to the right kind of people so that it's 10 times easier to sell once we build a relationship. Does that make sense? Okay. The second, number 2, is engage. We have to build relationships. Okay. Now, when I say the word engage, this is really, really, really important. There's 2 types of engagement. There's one, which is the obvious likes and comments, right? That's obvious. That's what we all think of when we think of engagement, which is important because it gets us more eyeballs. But this is also really important to understand. Engagement is not kink. Okay. The likes and comments on our post are not necessarily the winning or losing formula, because what I really like to do is very intentionally build up engagement with things like polls, things like, hey, what's the hardest thing for business, with like all of these things that just get people boom. And then I have really kick ass posts that I make that I know straight out of the gate are not going to get anywhere near the likes and the comments, but they got all the eyeballs to plant the seeds I wanted to plant. So we have likes and comments, but then we also have seeds that we want to plant, because the whole purpose of engagement is to build up the relationship that makes the sale easier. So this is really, really, really important. If you're trying to use a post to make a bunch of sales, you're probably going to let yourself down over and over and over, because the point of the post was not to close the sales. The point of the post was to set up the sales. Does that make sense? Okay. So don't get frustrated. How many of you are like, oh, I post about my dog and get 500 comments, blah, blah, blah. Then I post about my business and nobody cares. Well, first of all, as I talked about the other night, if nobody cares, it's not their fault. It's our fault. We need to write better content. We need to connect with them better. But second of all, I want you to keep this in the back of your mind. Your business post is never going to get as many likes and comments as a picture of a cute, adorable puppy. Okay. A cute, adorable puppy. Are you kidding me? I will like that right now, even if I don't know who you are or know anything about you. It does not necessarily mean I'm interested in your products. Makes sense? Which is why, by the way, we want to make sure and mix in a lot of engagement posts around the conversation we do want to have. There's nothing wrong with posting a picture of your dog. I'm not saying to stop doing that. But what I am saying is, if every single engagement post is completely off topic, all we're doing is building up a huge pool for the algorithm full of people we don't even know if they're the right people. Does that make sense? So, like, you might have accidentally built up your entire algorithm with people who are dog lovers, but then you sell a supplement. How do you make the conversion of talking about my sweet dog to, by the way, would you like some supplements? You're just setting yourself up for having to work harder than what you really need to. Does that make sense? I want everyone to write this down. I don't want everyone to engage with my posts. I don't want it. I want the right people to engage with my posts. Okay. I want to constantly be thinking, starting with the end in mind. If the end in mind is I want to sell somebody a product, then I need to be careful not to accidentally build up 90,000 conversations about my dog. Okay. Again, I'm not saying not to make a post about your dog. I'm just saying don't make that your engagement plan. Well, everyone loves my dog, so I'll just show my dog. No, feature your dog in the background of the picture about the thing you want to talk about. That's a way smarter way to like use your dog. Just be like super real with you guys. I don't mean this in a negative way. Please hear me out. I use my wife a lot in pictures because she is way more gorgeous than me. And it's an all female audience, right? So it feels a little bit safer to engage with a dude who's standing with his wife versus a dude by himself. Like, that's just what it is. Okay. So I don't use you get what I mean by that, right? Like, I'm like, I ask for her permission. I'm like, is it okay if I use a picture of us today? And I try not to feature her in pictures where I'm like giving tough love, because then it looks like she's supporting my message, which she may or may not. I don't know. So I try to only use, like the other day we did a giveaway post and it was me and Jenny with $100 giveaway at the top. She's fine with that. Okay. We get it. You should- okay. Now the third thing is convert. We have to actually close some sales. Okay. So if all of our focus and energy is just getting engagement, but we never bite the bullet and ask anyone if they want to buy, we just have a really expensive hobby. There's my smile. Love you. Anyone have a really expensive hobby? I won't even look. I won't even ask you how many products you have in the pantry to make sure you keep all of your accounts active and all of that. And there's nothing wrong with doing that if you're out there selling to other people so that you can afford all that stuff. But if you're putting your own products on credit cards every single month, guys, like, we need to make some sales. Okay? But this is really important, okay? When it comes to converting, there is a really specific process we need to use. And again, I'm not going to dig into that today. That's what I teach in the small group. But I want to make sure we're not just randomly messaging 50 people and asking if they want to buy something from us. Okay. There's a process to it. But I will say this, and this is why I'm not saying courses are good or bad or right or wrong, but a course would normally focus on one of those three things instead of the three things combined, which is the machine you need to make ongoing consistent sales. Can you see how if someone teaches you how to get a shit ton of engagement, but you don't know how to convert anybody, like, even if the course was good and helped, it didn't necessarily deliver you more sales ongoing if you didn't know the next step. Does that make sense? Okay. So most of the courses out there are about expanding and engaging. Can I tell you why? You want to know why? Because it's what people like to think will fix their business. And if I'm being honest, we could have had double, double the signups if I would have only hit on one of those things and convinced all of you that that one thing would fix everything. But it would have been a lie. It would have been a lie, because growing a big ass audience doesn't matter if you don't know how to engage, build a relationship, and then convert them. You see what I'm saying? We need them all three working together. And then, of course, we also got to do some mindset work to make sure we stay in the mode of continuing to take the action that it takes. Okay. I want to say this one more time. If you have the right things to convert people, every single one of you right now can go make more sales with the audience you already have. And that's why I teach that first thing in the 626. I want to help people make immediate money. Okay. At the same time, if we don't put the other things into place, that well goes dry pretty quick. Okay. So I like to give people an initial surge of like, hey, let's learn how to convert people. Let's go convert all of the people that you currently have that are the right people, while we're implementing some of these other things. They're going to make sure you got more people to talk to next month and the month after and the month after and the month after. Does that make sense? Okay. So now let's dig into what we're doing today. Today, we're really just focusing on the engagement piece. Okay. And again, there's several elements to engagement, but the thing that I want to jam on today is how we write belief bridge posts. Now, this is not what you're going to be doing every single day. Okay. We don't want to be the person writing a 20 paragraph story hitting on pain points every single day. That's exhausting and people will stop checking in. Okay. So, this is not the only part of the strategy. This is just a really big piece of the strategy to sow the seeds we need to sow to actually connect with the right people and have some of the right people being like, oh my God, this is amazing. I need you in my life. Okay. Not everyone's going to come out and say that, which is why we need to be proactive about reaching out to people. Okay. So let's take a peek see at my favorite creation in the world called the Belief Bridge. Give me 1 second here. I thought I had it pulled up, but that's only the partial one. And I want to show you the full on Belief Bridge. Okay. Do 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 do. Is anyone old enough to know what that song is? Do 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 do. I can't even see your faces because I'm looking for my image. So you can just laugh at me if you want to while I'm being super awkward. Totally fine. Doesn't bother me. Get this pulled up for you guys. Boom. And okay. I want to show you this first because it is really, really, really important to see this. This is something that we teach inside the life coach certification. It's terminology you're going to hear a lot for those that are inside the 626. You're going to hear this from your life coach like over and over and over. This is called head versus heart. This graphic is also in my best version of you book for those of you that grabbed that book. Okay. Head versus heart. We've got head, which is the caveman DNA. We talked about this the other night. We've got heart, which is the future. And I want to just say this before we jump into the belief bridge. One of the biggest mistakes people make, whether it's mentoring or writing content, is remember, we've gone from one side of the bridge to the other, new values. We're now positive people. We're super happy and confident people. And sometimes we accidentally skip to the heart. We accidentally think that our positivity, if we just throw it out at everybody, just pour out positivity on everybody, that they'll catch it and be like, oh my God, this is so amazing. You're so positive. I love you. And people do say that, don't they? They do say you're so positive. I love you. But how come those people aren't paying you money? It's because we skipped through the head part that they're currently dealing with. We skipped through the part of it that actually gets them connected to us and feeling like we understand them. The more we just pour out positivity without showing the other side of it, the more we are separating ourselves further and further and further from them. Okay. If you just pretend for a second, currently feel like shit about your business, and I come on and I'm like, business is just so easy and fun, and it's amazing, and it's awesome, and everyone can do it. If you're currently struggling, what are your thoughts toward me right now? You're trying to steal one of Josh's F bombs, right? You're trying to make me go there early. But yeah, I can't relate. Couldn't have said it better, Caitlin. I can't relate. And really good marketing and really good messaging is all about getting relate without saying you relate. Remember me saying that the other night? Like, I don't want to say I understand, right? That's a very, very, very dangerous thing. In fact, Sean, who's with us through our connection, I spoke for basically a diversity leadership group. Okay. All people of color and mostly women of color. And I was super honored to get to speak. The worst thing in the world I could have done is come onto the call and been like, I totally get it. I have been different in my life too. They would have been like, hey, get the out of here. Like, you don't get anything. So instead, I very intentionally led the call by saying, I don't get it and never will get it. But I've learned some things in life that I hope can help you. It was very, very, very important for me to call out the elephant in the room, which is I don't belong here and I don't get it. It's very, very important for you when you're trying to build a relationship with someone not to lead with I get it, because you don't. I'm holding them F bombs in today. I don't know. I feel like it's day 4. You guys are people thinking about joining the 626. Like, you need to know that there's going to be more than one F bomb on the Monday calls. Okay, that's what it is. If you don't like that, it's okay. I love you. It's totally fine. You don't have to join my group, but that's just what it is. Okay, so we need to make sure we go through the head to get to the heart. In other words, we bring, oops, let me see if I can type here, bring attention to the darkness so that we can share the light. Very, very, very different than just being the happy, everything is wonderful and everything is great and we're all amazing and we're all awesome. No, that is not how most people feel. And like, can we just be real for a second? That's not how most of you feel either, is it? We're human beings, guys. We have struggles. Now, what I don't want to be doing is airing out my current struggles. Okay. But I want to go back to the struggles that I was having before I found this life. Okay. So let's peek at the full belief bridge. No one's going to fully understand this by the end of the call, and that's okay. That's the point of today, isn't to make anyone a master of sales psychology in one workshop. Okay. But this is the full bridge. Okay. So on the workshop, remember I showed the broken bridge. Okay. This is how we actually build it. So we start with what they want. Okay. I've been meaning to add a little asterisk to this and add on who they are so that we then can figure out what they want, because all of us have a little bit different of an audience, and it is important to know who that ideal person is connected to what they actually want. Like, what do they actually care about? Okay. Then we need to understand that the second we say something out loud that they want, even if they want it, they are immediately followed by limiting beliefs. If we don't know how to address limiting beliefs, all we'll ever have is people who want something and then feel this huge ass gap between where they are and where they want to be. Okay. Now, we do want to bring light to that gap, but we want to also show that we are the thing that fills in the gap. Okay. We then have an angle or pivot, which is mostly kind of what we're going to work on today. Angles and pivots are basically stories and analogies that prove your point. Okay. Without trying to make the point. Can I give you an example? You guys remember me sharing the weed analogy about the garden in the backyard? By me bringing up the garden, okay, it's a non-business thing. So I took your brain that was like, I don't know, this guy's trying to teach me new business things. I don't know if I trust him yet. I don't know if I like him yet. This could be bullshit for all I know. And I said, let's imagine we plant a garden. And your subconscious mind goes from resistant to, ooh, a story about a garden. I like gardens. Those are nice. I brought up a very neutral topic on purpose so that your brain would go with me there. And as I'm telling the story, nobody's brain is like, what is the seed he's trying to plant here? What is this? What is this? What? Now, some of you, if you're really skeptical, might have been doing that. But in general, if we go into story mode, people just kind of naturally go with us. And you don't even realize I'm taking you on a very intentional journey until it's too late. Because when everyone nods their head and says, yes, anyone should be able to grow strawberries. Yes, it's true that you can't grow strawberries if you have weeds. You are already agreeing with the point that I'm making before I've even had a chance to make it. If you agree that strawberries can't grow with weeds, all I'm doing is taking the thing you agreed on and now bringing you back to business where you're like, oh shit, well, I can't argue now because I already agreed. Does that make sense? So I get people to agree with me before they know they're actually agreeing with me. And then in order to argue with me would be to literally argue with themselves. And I will tell you something people do not do. They do not argue with themselves. Once someone's mind is made up, remember I taught you this already. Once our mind is made up, we look for the evidence that we are right. So if we decide we're not good enough because insert blank, because you're not a good enough of a leader, you'll go find all the people in the world that are the greatest leaders in the world, and you'll follow them and watch all of their reels and continue to confirm to yourself, see, I'm not good enough. I'm not as outspoken as her. I'm not as loud as her. I'm not as funny as her. She said the only way to be successful is to be super colorful and vibrant because nobody likes vanilla ice cream, but I'm just fucking vanilla ice cream over here. So I don't know what to do with that. Makes sense? So all I'm doing is using psychology to get them to agree with themselves so that I'm not arguing with people with my posts. Please do not argue with people or try to prove them wrong. You'll have a really hard time connecting with people when you're trying to convince them that they are wrong. Make sense? Now, today we're just going to work on our own personal stories because that's the easiest thing to do when we have a lot of people and I can't like do an entire one-on-one call with every single one of you. I'm going to teach you kind of how to use your personal story to build a belief bridge. But I want to show you the other steps real quick just to make sure. We need to have the one thing they need, and then we have our cocaine pillars. We're not even going to dive into that today. Just know that I use the word cocaine sometimes very intentionally to get a reaction because that's the whole point of the cocaine pillars. Or if we're doing one-on-ones, it's the cocaine promises. Okay. Then we have our program. This is what we're selling. This is your service, your supplement, your product, whatever that is on the far right side. And that's the least important part of the whole thing. It really doesn't even matter. By the time we get to that point, people are already ready to join and they don't really care what it's called. They don't really care what ingredients are in it. They're ready to do this thing. Okay. But I did really want to highlight the one thing they need. And here's why. As network marketers, you tend to kind of all use the same words, the same terminology, the same things. And it's a really great way to make yourself immediate competition for the other people using those words and using those things. Okay. So here's what's really important is to come up with your own name or system or method that includes your products. Okay. But is like customized to the way you do it. Does that make sense? Customized to the way you do it. I'll give you a very good example. The belief bridge. Are there other people out there teaching sales psychology? Sure. Sure, there are. Okay. But the second I coin the belief bridge, who else are you going to learn that from? Has anyone tried Googling belief bridge? I've actually never tried, but like, you're not going to find shit. You know why? Because I invented it. I took the way I've done messaging for 10 years and I basically churned it into a duplicatable system and I coined it with my own name. Okay. Same with head versus heart, guys. Those are not necessarily new terms. Those are pretty familiar terms, but I invented head versus heart, if you will. That is my own terminology. It is something we use over and over and over inside our life coach certification. I didn't invent life coaching, but I took the way I was using it and what made it special and custom to the way I express that to the world. And I put it into a process that I can pass off to other people. Does that make sense? It is really important that we have some type of duplicatable system or process because that's what people can put their trust in. Okay. But it needs to be your thing. Okay. We're not going to dive full on into that today. What we're going to do today is we're going to work on personal stories that build a bridge. And we're going to do this by going through your darkness to find your light. Okay? And again, I just want to be intentional about saying this. We don't use belief bridge posts every single day. That would be insane. It would be ridiculous. Okay? It's one of the reasons I love emails, though, because I really can use the belief bridge like in almost every email because I just get to say more, and it's just different. It's a different form of communication, right? Facebook, Instagram, people looking for some entertainment along with their education. Email is kind of an education platform. Like that's what it is, right? No one was expecting me to email you a meme or a GIF or a joke today, right? This isn't now if this was the year 2000 and we were all on AOL, that's exactly what we would have done. We'd have been emailing someone a cat video. Did you see this on the internet? And then like 6 days later, when they got a chance to go to the library and check the internet, they would have watched it and responded back with their own cat video. Okay. But emails is more of an educational place now. It's meant for business, which I absolutely love. Okay, cool. So I need some volunteers to do some done for you marketing. Why don't you throw in the chat if you're down and tell me what company you're with also, because ideally I'd like to get a couple different companies. Okay. Okay. You've got mail. I still feel like I say that every once in a while, and I don't even know where it came from. I'm just like, where did that come from? Okay, so Elizabeth is with Body. We'll start with her, and then I'm going to kind of just go down the list to people in different companies. Where is Elizabeth? Can you wave at me, Elizabeth? Do you have your video on? Oh, there you are. There you are. There you are. Okay. Can you unmute and chat with me? Are you in a place where you can chat?
Yeah, I can chat.
Okay,
Can
good
you hear
deal.
me?
Good deal. Yep, I can hear you just fine. Okay, so talk to me a little bit about, I mean, I know about your products, but tell me a little bit about like the part that you're really passionate about.
So part of that I'm really passionate about is more mindset and the
Okay.
piece that like when you work on the best version of yourself, that mindset changes. Like most of the time before you even really recognize that it's changing and
Mhm.
that was the piece you needed.
Okay. Okay. You bring up mindset, and yeah, I just happen to write a lot of content for our life coaches who are also health and wellness coaches. And I'm really, really, really good at tying the mindset to the health and fitness. So you are in luck. So talk to me about how this happened for you. Take me back to the beginning.
Really my big story started when I was about 3 months postpartum with my last son in 2021, severely depressed. Um, Suffering. I had just left the nursing floor to teach nursing students so that I could have more time with my family. And I ended up spending more time working on lesson plans than I did as a nurse on the nursing floor. So I was really struggling with the idea that here I am with 3 kids. I'm 31 years old and I spend more time like
Mm.
sitting at my desk or sitting at home on the couch than with my family like I wanted to.
Mhm.
I've wasted 8.5 years of my life, going through nursing school and then working the nursing floors with my bigger kids. So now they're like, I mean, they're just used to that. And then I didn't want my son growing up that same way. So I realized, in order to pull myself out of this postpartum depression, in order, to start feeling better, I need to start working on myself. So I went back to Body where I started 10 years ago prior to that with my first daughter, and really started working on, okay, I'm going to lose some weight. I'm going to start moving my body and making myself feel a little bit better. And then eventually it was like, I'm not just feeling better, like physically, where I have more energy. Like, I feel like this is the piece of my life that I needed. I needed to realize that taking the time for me and prioritizing myself as a mom, like as Elizabeth herself, made me a better mom. It made me a better nurse. It made me just a better human because I was able to stop and say, you know what? I can't keep filling everybody else's cup around me and not filling my own.
Okay. Now, scale of 1 to 10, her literally just opening up and being vulnerable about her struggles. How many of you related to her journey? Show me jazzies. Now, do you see how it's really, really powerful and important? Like, I don't even really need to add much to this. I'm just going to kind of like string it together a little bit for her. Elizabeth mostly just gave us the perfect belief bridge post because she took us through the specifics. This is really important. The specifics of her darkness. Okay. Sometimes we're way too vague. Sometimes we're like, if you're struggling, we're like, well, if I get too specific, nobody relates to it. Lies. How many of you here are not nurses? Show me jazzies. And of those of you who are not nurses, how many of you, when she told the story of her nursing journey, found yourself thinking about some part of your journey where you have had to work? See how that happened? If she doesn't get specific enough to talk about her nursing journey, we never went down a path specific enough to find ourselves in that type of situation in our life. Does that make sense? So too many times we're like, I don't want to be too specific. I mean, like, unless you're a nurse, you're not even going to get this. No, everyone got it. Okay. Her nursing story made everyone else think about their story. Also, the other really cool thing is when we start off with the darkness, okay, no one's like, here comes another one of those posts where she's like, no, you're just lost in the story. And the darker the story is, the more lost you get because you are not expecting this dark story to turn into this thing that you need. It feels more like just like a heart share. Okay. The deeper we go into the story, the more people, their guards are just coming down. People at one point are kind of like feeling sorry for Elizabeth in some ways. Not that we want to keep them there. Okay. But feeling sorry for her makes them want to hear how the story ends. Does that make sense? We
Mhm.
don't watch movies about people who have $1 million, who keep $1 million, and then make another $1 million and live happily ever after. We watch movies about people who come from nothing, who achieve something, or people who had it all and lost it and were able to gain it back by going through some type of character development. Does that make sense to everybody? Everybody with me on that? So let's just like grab a little bit of this. And I mean, like I said, I don't know how much of this I even want to change. And we didn't even dig into the mindset angle. I could write so much more content for you just based on the mindset angle. We didn't even get there in this, and that is totally okay, by the way. So I started a new journey. I'm just going to copy and paste some of this down so that we can play with it. Okay. The only thing that I really want to like dramatically change about what you said, is you were like, and then I started body again. Nothing wrong. Like, I don't care what company you're in. All companies are cool with me. But that then just says to everyone, oh, body is the solution. And I have a next door neighbor that does body. So let me reach out to her. You know what I mean? So, like, again, if we sow this specific seed of something that is Googleable, okay,
Right.
they no longer need us. So that's the only part where I want to like just make sure we don't accidentally like say that over and over. Okay. So have 3 kids, spend more time working. I will never forget. I just this is literally an assignment we gave to the small group yesterday. Just starting a post with I will never forget. How many years ago was it when you kind of came to this realization?
3 years.
Okay. I will never forget 3 years ago when I was just so freaking frustrated with work. Notice how by saying was so freaking frustrated with work, people are like, ooh, drama. Ooh, I like everyone loves drama, guys. Everyone loves drama. That's why they're gonna lean in. We want to lead with negativity because that's what gets people's attention and to go down the path with us. Never forget 3 years ago when I was so freaking frustrated with work. I had spent 8.5 years, and forgive me if I get some of the facts wrong. Obviously, you can change those, right? I had spent 8.5 years going to school and working as a nurse, and I was just done. I couldn't stop thinking. I spend all of my time working, and my kids are just constantly on the side waiting for mom to come home. I've given so many years to my career, but it's constantly taken me further and further away from my family. In fact, I even tried switching it up and going into teaching new nurses just to get myself off the floor. I think that's the terminology used. I apologize. I don't know nursing terminology as well. Just to get myself off the floor. But I found myself spending so much time prepping for lessons that it honestly ended up being just as bad. Then I hit the bottom. Postpartum depression started kicking my ass. Which, by the way, we could have led with that one too. We could go a whole nother post just about postpartum. Like that's my favorite thing to do is put it all into one big post. And then usually with my clients, I teach them how to pull like 4 different angles out of that one post to do like branch off posts about other things. The postpartum depression is also a really great post. Okay. I found myself thinking, how have I wasted so much of my life? And is there any way I can change this to give my kids the kind of life I really want to? I wasn't sure where to start. So I just took a few little steps. Eventually, I found myself in a total groove. This is where we'd kind of insert like a one thing. So like for instance, I finally found everyone write down the word right. Okay. So something like I finally, even if you don't have a system or a method, here's another way you can say it. I finally found the right combination of things for my body and my mindset that literally changed the game for me. I went from, this part is made up, so only use this if it's real, crying my eyes out at the nurse's station, to literally waking up feeling fueled, empowered, and ready to take my day on. Here's what's crazy. I started this routine thinking I might lose a few pounds, gain a little confidence, but instead, I watched as my entire life changed. I became a better mom, a better friend, a better nurse. And now I literally wake up every day hoping to share this process with someone else that is feeling desperate for change. So notice how I said, like the right movements and the right, like whatever that was. And then at the end, I'm like, share this process. Nobody could know what this even is unless they comment and say, "Oh my God, Elizabeth, I'm so happy for you. Like, what have you been doing? Like, what is it? What changed things?" So really good content makes people go, "That's amazing, but how?" We don't give away the what. This is a really big mistake people make with their content. So, like Elizabeth could have been, I know her company well enough to use some of the terminology. And that's when I found Shakeology plus the Netflix of workouts plus a book written by Josh Coates. And then people are like, oh, okay. So like just go get Shakeology and the Beachbody on Demand and a book by Josh. Cool. Good. Awesome. And we accidentally, this is really important, we made them feel like they had the solution. But we all know no one is actually going to take the time to go buy all of those things on their own, put them into practice, and get the results. So when we give away too much, this is really important. We actually fail people because we make them think we fix their problem for them, but we all know the problem is long from fixed just by knowing a few of the right things to use. Does that make sense? How many of you would agree that it's not knowing the information, it's acting on the information and also getting accountability and support for using the information ongoing? You guys agree with that? So if accountability is a huge piece of the puzzle, we got to be careful not to give away the rest of the puzzle. Because the reality is most people don't pay money for just accountability. They pay money for a system or a process. Okay. The accountability is kind of like more of like the cherry on top that makes them stick around. Does that make sense? Does that help at all? Good deal. Good deal. One of the other things that I have the small group doing right now is journaling for 10 minutes every single day, just writing out some of their darkest stories, writing out some of their darkest moments, because the more we practice it, the more it'll come to us naturally. Okay. I wrote music for 10 years, mostly for an emo punk band, and you don't write emo music without going through some dark stories. Okay. So like it's just like, it's just in me. It just comes out so naturally because with music and content are very similar. We don't connect in our happy places as quickly as we connect in our sad places. So for me, songwriting was always use the verse to take people to that dark place where we connect, use the chorus to shine the light on the hope of what could be. Does that make sense? Good content does the same thing. It takes us through the darkness to the light. Okay. We don't want to leave everybody sad and depressed. Okay. But we got to go through some of that stuff in order to get people to actually listen and connect and relate and then want to go to that high place with us. That make sense, everybody? Okay, cool. Did that help everyone to just kind of see some of that done? This is what's really important is it's like if no one's ever taught this to you and demonstrated it, they just say, just post every day. Okay, post about the products. Corporate gave us these graphics. Please don't ever, ever, ever post a graphic from corporate unless it's to your stories. Stories is fine because we get to use as many stories as we want. It's okay if a couple of those are just like some graphics with some prices, or I wouldn't put the prices on there, by the way. But it's fine to do that. But to like make a post with graphics from corporate, like, what are people supposed to do with that, guys? What are people even like? Imagine me just making a post today that was just a picture of like the 626 with like a laptop, which I do for ads when I'm retargeting someone who knows what the program is and is thinking about it. Hopefully, you guys have been seeing those ads follow you around everywhere you go. But like, it wouldn't make sense to just make that as a post. You know what I mean? It only makes sense to show that to people that are already interested. Okay. Bye, Sean. Have an awesome day, friend. Let's see here. Okay, let's go back to I gotta scroll way up here. Okay. Elizabeth was first with body, and then we have Christine Vance with Level. Is it like Level or is it Level? Like I don't know how to say it. Oh, here, let me give you permission to unmute.
It's Lavelle, but most people
Lavelle.
just call it Thrive because that's the product
Oh.
and people can say that better.
There you go. There you go. And after this, we'll I see we got tons of Amari girls. So after this, we will do an Amari post. Okay. Sound good? Okay. So Christine, tell me a little bit more. I don't actually know much about your product. We've had several people from your company, but I haven't got a chance to have any Q&A time like this. So tell me a little bit about the main kind of product that you push.
It's really not all that too different from Body. And I'll be totally honest, I use Body myself, but I
Cool.
just not allowed to promote it. But
All good. All good.
Lavelle misses the aspect of the exercise and all that, but we do have the shakes and the supplements and stuff.
Yeah.
So basically that's what our product is a shake, energy, lifestyle change,
Okay.
and supplements. They have supplements for men, women, protein shakes, post-workout stuff. And
What's the biggest problem you solve? If I said, hey, I will literally give you one perfect ideal client, what problem would the person have that you would want to work with?
so the problem that it solved mostly for me was, of course, I wanted to lose weight, but everybody's in that mindset that, like, all these weight loss products, everyone's tried everything. So everyone's always skeptical to try another weight loss product. What really did it for me was the fact that I was in healthcare. I worked overnights. I worked on an ambulance for 16 years, and I just didn't have the energy to work out, or I didn't have the energy to meal prep or make food that was healthy because it's constantly on the go and I was just eating whatever the drive-through offered. And I actually started the product because, they basically pushed it as, hey, you want energy, you want to feel better, and that's what I needed. And then that's what made me kind of start. And then the weight loss was just the byproduct of that. But I needed to feel alive. I just was exhausted all the time.
Yeah, tell me more about that ambulance situation.
I started when I was 16, and I did about 10 years on a volunteer squad, 8 years in a paid service, and 2 years as a paramedic.
Okay.
Saw a lot of really, really, really bad things, and over the years, you train yourself not to let things like that bother you. And then one day you just kind of wake up and something that you experience just hits home. It's what us in healthcare kind of refer to as the call or the patient. And I had 2 of those in the same month right before Christmas. And at that point, and I'm going to start crying now. It was at that point that I was like, what am I doing here? I need to get out of this, and I'm done. And I'm tired of, waking up in the middle of the night with visions in my head of things that I do not want to have visions of. And that's when I basically was like, this is it. I need a new life. And I have been doing network marketing since I was literally 18 because of my mom, but I knew that that was the vehicle to get me to where I wanted to, but I've been doing this for 20 years and I can build up a lot of momentum, and I have built really large teams. I've earned the trips. I've earned huge multi-thousand-dollar bonuses in the past. And then I fizzle out a lot all the time. And I've probably been with about 20, maybe more companies in the last 20 years. So yeah.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you for sharing all that. I appreciate it. Can we all just send her some love right now? That was a lot of vulnerability to share all of that. So we appreciate you so much, friend. We really, really do. And we've got some good shit to work with here. Okay. Now, this kind of turned into a business opportunity post, which is fun because we need to have some of those too, right? We could have easily gone down the whole I mean, you took us down two different paths, right? We started out talking about the energy, but as Christine got to talking, there was definitely some other demons that like wanted to come out, some other dark places. Okay, that's why this is good practice, because most of the time it is very natural for us to take the dark times, put them behind us, and try to focus on the good times and share about the good times and just talk about all the hope and love and amazing and exciting things. And people are just like, good for you. Your life's awesome, apparently. Mine sucks. So I don't really know what to do with this. Right. So we can go down a couple paths, but I'm going to go ahead and go the business opportunity path just because that is something that most of you need to do at some point. And most people don't really know how to talk about the business, right? Would you guys agree with that? Like when you're like, the hell do I say about the business? I don't know. Like, I don't have a brand new Cadillac Escalade or a fancy new house. We don't need that shit to talk about the business, friends. Most people aren't looking for a way to get a Cadillac Escalade or a 5,000 square foot house. That's not what most people start with. Okay. The vision grows into that. And it's cool to have that as a prop in the background. But if I'm being perfectly honest, I try to shy away from sharing too much of that because sometimes that actually makes me unrelatable. The second you have all the nice things and all the fancy things and lots of money, you actually become less relatable to the average person, because the average person is like, what? So I just sign up with you and I get to have an Escalade next? Yeah, right. Like it actually sounds less desirable and attainable. Okay. So I love this line right here. One day you wake up and something just hits you. You get the call. So I'm going to give you guys one of my favorite little prompts that I like to use. Okay. Um, and I always like, why is it so hard to blank? Okay. This like immediately pulls people in. Okay. So in this time, instead of saying, why is it so hard to blank? It doesn't really technically make sense per se with this one, but I still want to like use the why is it so hard? Okay. Why is it so hard? Do you have kids?
4.
Okay. I think you said that. Why is it so hard to be, why is it so hard to find the balance when you have a high demand job and kids you're trying to build a better life for? I'll never forget the day I got the call. If you're in healthcare, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You were going about your business, busy, distracted, drinking energy drinks, I'm assuming.
Coffee
And
by the
just
gallon.
trying to get through the day for the 4,556th time. And out of nowhere, the job that is already chaos goes one step further. In my case, I got 2 calls in the same night, or was it 2 nights in a row? I don't remember.
It was just 2 in one month right before
Okay.
Christmas, December.
In my case, I got 2 calls in the same month right before Christmas. I got to a point where I was just done. I had held so much for so long, waking up in the middle of the night, dreaming about terrible events, and then taking that stress and pressure and anxiety into my family life. I'm assuming, because that's usually what happens when you're crazy extra stressed, right? I finally realized, I don't know if you said this specifically, but I'm going to throw this in for you, okay? If I don't change something now, my kids are only going to know a mom who has stress, anxiety, and nightmares. And that is not the kind of home I wanted to create for them. I knew, I'm going to throw this in there too. You can feel free to delete this if this isn't true. Okay. I'm inserting a little of my story into some of this.
You're
Okay.
right on, actually.
Okay, good.
Totally
Good,
right
good.
on.
This is why stories are so powerful, because underneath the details of the story, we've kind of all been on the same journey, right? And so it's just the details that get people to have the journey to then see their own life underneath the details. Okay. I knew I didn't want to go back to school. I just said I was trying to make a better life for the kids, not add another stressful thing. I didn't really have any other experience. I've done this since I was 16. Is that what you said?
18.
18.
I watched my mom do it for years as a child. She was in everything. She had the cars, all this stuff. So that's all my mom did.
No, sorry, the medical stuff.
Yeah, medical stuff since I was 16. I went
Okay,
to
so didn't really have any other experience because I've done this since I was 16. So obviously I wouldn't have any other experience. All I knew was that I had watched my mom work from home for years. And that was the kind of life I wanted to give my kids. I finally said, I have to do something different. And on that day, I went all in on a side hustle I had previously only taken a little serious. I had never given my full heart to it. But I had no other choice. I know how to spell choice, obviously, but an S slipped in instead of a C, okay? Had no other choice. Had no other choice. This is where we have several options. The story's getting kind of long here. We can literally just leave this hanging and people be like, shit, like what happened? Like, well, like, you know what I mean? Like, or if we want, we can close it up with, if you are someone who needs a change, oops, I'd love to talk to you to see if this new opportunity, whatever it is, might be right for you. We could also put in some results there. I had no other choice. Since joining, I've been able to earn free trips for my family. I've been able to, get discounts on products that I love. Like, we can add kind of anything we want at the end to kind of like end the story on like a happy, positive, fun note. Okay. But what's really important is that we just share the story enough that people are like, shit, that is exactly where I'm at right now. Some people will like, some people will comment, some people will watch. Okay. But remember, that's why we need to expand, engage, and convert. Okay. I don't depend on my posts to pay my bills. I use my posts to plant the seeds so that when I reach out to people, they're not like, I don't know, what the fuck do you even do? They're like, yeah, Christine, I've been reading a lot of those posts and I am kind of curious, like, what is it you're doing? Like, let's chat. So I'm planting seeds that make it easier for people to want to talk to me versus being someone who's never really made any type of connection with my posts, just popping into their inbox. Does that make sense? Does that help, Christine?
very much so. I actually tried to turn my story similar into like an email series for
Mhm.
my
Yeah.
I developed a lead magnet how to make money doing what you love kind of thing. And I've been working on it for a long time. And I was trying to develop an email sequence and I just couldn't put it all together. And you just like light bulb. And yeah, so this is amazing. Thank you.
You're very welcome, friend. You're very welcome. Everyone write this down. When you lack clarity, you lack confidence, and you lack energy. When you have clarity, confidence and energy follow just almost right away. And that's one of the reasons I finally started writing posts for people. I used to literally think to myself, I don't want to do that for people because I don't want people to depend on me. But then I had a one-on-one client that I was doing it for, and she took one singular session and was like, oh my God, I finally get it. I'm so excited to go make some posts, to build up some engagement, to reach out. And I was like, oh, well, shit. I mean, if that's what it does for people, why am I not doing this for more people? So again, the point isn't for me to write every single post for you. The point is for you to get some shit out of your brain and watch how someone else turns it into the magic, because I found that most people, obviously Christine has known that story forever. She has. Okay. She didn't need me to know her own story, but sometimes you need someone to pull it out of you, because again, we are sometimes hiding the darkness to try to be a more positive person. And we've been told to add value, add value. And it's kind of just this natural thing, in my opinion. Let me know if you guys feel this. It's kind of this natural thing when you're an online, I hate this word, but let's be real. We're all influencers to some degree. It's kind of this natural assumption that I have to be happy and I have to be positive and I have to put my very best foot forward all the time. Okay. And that's bullshit. Okay, you don't need to be happy and positive all the time and always put your best foot forward, because if you do, people are just going to see you as the happy, positive person that doesn't understand them. Okay, now I want you to put forth confidence and I want you to put forth a happy ending, right? But I don't want you just constantly going to the happy ending over and over and over without taking them through the story. Make sense? Yes, Elizabeth, I love that. Elizabeth said, I just needed the okay, almost like permission to speak my truth and move forward the way I feel tugged to. I love that, Elizabeth. That makes me really happy. Okay. We got an Amari girl. Hillary, I want to jam with you. Can I jam with you today? Is that cool? Okay, let me give you permission to unmute. You should be good to go.
All right.
Hi, friend. How are you?
I'm well, thanks. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I'm wonderful. Okay, so I know a decent amount about your product from working with a couple people from your company for the last month, but tell me in your own words, why you love the product so much.
So I love it because I got started from the emergency room
Mm.
with a kidney stone and undiagnosed diverticulosis. And I thought I was just being your typical middle-aged woman, right? As I see a lot of you on this call are. And lo and behold, it wasn't normal. It wasn't typical. It wasn't what I should have been living with. And a couple friends had gone before me and said, oh, you should try this. So here I was in this predicament with a clean slate, right? I wanted to do a clean slate, stop everything I was doing, all the supplements, all the everything I was doing, and start fresh. And I figured, why not? I'm also the most skeptical person on the planet, probably. Okay.
Okay.
So I was like, meh, okay, I'll try it. Got it. Didn't try it. Waited. Tried it. 3 days. I don't think this works. I think, whatever. It's a bunch of hooey. 4 days. All right. 5 days. So I'm noticing things that aren't happening. Maybe there's something to this crazy little drink that they call Happy Juice, which is such a dumb name. But a few more days, another week, And the things that I was experiencing didn't come back.
Mm.
And I was like, that's amazing.
Mhm.
And not only was I able to heal my gut, but I noticed that I didn't feel so anxious driving to new places. I didn't want to control the lives of my young adult and teenager so much.
Mm.
And all these other things, like just my mood and my energy levels, all started to improve as well.
Love it. Love it. I love that you said you're the most skeptical person in the world, because
Oh, friend,
I think that's an important part to include, right? So
for
let's go
better or worse.
That's all good. I mean, it doesn't bother me. I think it's a really powerful story. And again, like the fact that she's skeptical, right? In the first couple of days, she's like, this is bullshit. This isn't even working. I don't even like this. But then it worked. Okay. That is so I want to throw this out for you guys. When I collect testimonials, I very intentionally ask, the first question I have people answer is, why did you almost not do this program? And I do that on purpose so that when someone else is reading the story, they hear the skepticism first. And they're like, yeah, that's exactly what I've been thinking. And then they go into the story. Okay. It's really, really important, again, that we give people almost like a negative connection piece before we try to take them to the positive. Okay. So being skeptical, we've all been skeptical. Like that's just what it is, right? The more skeptical you are, kind of the better the story becomes. You know what I mean? Because nobody wants to hear the story of like, I just heard about it and I was like, what the hell? So I tried it. And on day one, it was a miracle. Screw you. Get out of here. Like, we want to hear that there were doubts. We want to hear that there really was some serious concern and consideration, because that's how everyone else that's watching feels, or they would have already bought it. Right.
Right.
So, I want to throw this out there. Why is life so freaking stressful when you are a middle-aged woman? Now, the reality is,
Amen to that.
I don't have to say middle-aged woman, but the second I do, people are, again, leaning in. The more specific I get, the easier it is for someone to come into your story with you. Okay. Doesn't have to be middle-aged. It could be in your 20s. It could be in your 30s. It could be over 50. Like, it doesn't really matter as long as it's true to you. It helps people to go to a specific place. So why is life so freaking stressful when you are a middle-aged woman? I will never forget finding myself in the emergency room with, tell me again what you had, stones? Which stones?
Yeah, kidney stone.
Ah,
Good
with a kid-
times.
with a kidney stone. Okay, let's come back up here to the story. I didn't copy and paste it enough.
I can personally confirm that it actually does feel like giving birth, having a kid. Now
I'm
that
gonna
I've done both.
I can personally confirm that. You mean passing the stone? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Just
Passing
oof.
is just as painful as childbirth. Just in case you were wondering. Okay. And I finally found myself, after years of trying supplement. It sounds like you threw away a bunch. So you had a bunch supplement
I did.
after supplement, wondering, is this just what it feels like to be middle aged? Am I just always going to deal with health concerns, low energy, and being, these were your words, okay? So I'm not saying this about you.
I got it. No worries.
Being a little grumpy and controlling with the kids, it just felt like, and again, I'm also getting older and I would say the same thing. So please don't think that I'm saying anything about you or your age.
No
Okay.
worries.
Okay. It just felt like the older I got, the less hope there was of ever feeling like my younger self again. A few ladies I knew were trying some new supplement that they swore would fix your health, energy, and mood all at the same time. I called bullshit. This sounds like the dumbest thing I have ever heard of. Are you seriously telling me that I can throw away 10 plus supplements I'm already taking and just mix this one thing with my water and everything will be fixed? Seriously, I am not the type of person to be so vulnerable to fall for a scam like that. But unfortunately, I was desperate. And they were my friends. So I said, you don't have to actually say this, of course. Fuck it. I'll try it. And even if it doesn't work, at least I gave my friend a nice little commission instead of the bros at GNC.
Now
After a
that's
few
funny.
after a few days, I found out I was right. It was bullshit. Nothing was changing. But like I said, I was desperate and I'd already bought it. So why not?
I'm still here. I'm
Please.
opening the door for my plumber.
Oh, you're fine. It'll all be typed up here for you. So why not at least use the rest of it? Day 5 came around. And I was starting to see a few little changes. Okay, maybe this isn't total bullshit, but I'm still not convinced. Something really weird happened in the middle of the second week. I started noticing that I was having less mood swings. I was waking up with more energy. And you didn't mention this. Did you lose weight? I don't want to say it if it didn't happen, but it's fine.
Sadly, no.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I started noticing that I was having less mood swings. I was waking up with more energy. What was the other thing you said? You did say something else, didn't you?
Focus.
Oh, was there gut? You said your gut.
Yep, gut health. Yeah,
And what was the evidence of that? Can you give me just something tangible?
sure. So my diverticulosis, and I had still had, they said there were still some small stones, and I never had any side effects again.
Whoa. Okay. What
It's
was
going
it
on
called
2
again?
years.
What was it called again?
Diverticulosis.
We're gonna for now we're gonna say
Yep.
diverty.
It works. It works.
I didn't hear all that. I always joke that I'm a best-selling author, but I do not know grammar. Okay, I have editors for that.
Well, the doctor gave me an A+ for self-diagnosing my kidney stones, but I got failure for not self-diagnosing my
Now
diverticulosis.
here's the crazy part, and this wasn't even something I was looking for. It started to totally heal, or whatever word you want to use, my command copy, command paste. Thank you, friends. I literally never had any symptoms again. Symptoms again. Did you say the stones were shrinking or disappeared? Like, what was the specific there?
Nothing. I never had to worry about it again.
The stones never came back. And this skeptical, middle-aged woman became the biggest fan in the world of this new product. If you're skeptical like me, or someone who is down to try something new, I'd love to chat. No sales schemes here, just looking to spread the word about something that literally changed my life forever. Something like that.
So that's amazing. I've written and told this story, right, a million times. And I already see the little pieces in here where you
Offshoots.
changed, and things that you changed
Yeah.
in the way that I would do it myself
Cool. I'm glad. I'm glad.
over and over and over again.
Well, I've done this a few times, so it'd be super weird if I sucked at it, right?
Yeah, it would be.
Did that help though?
Yeah, it did.
Cool. Awesome. Awesome. Well, I'm glad you were here then, friend. I'm very glad you were here. I know you
Thank
guys
you.
also had a team call today, so thanks for skipping the team call to hang out with me.
I'll
sorry for the
apologize to
guests.
Bill Banta later.
Sorry to the guest speaker. Jill was like, "Oh, we have a guest speaker at the same time. I don't really want to discourage them from that, but I'm just telling them to just do whatever is going to serve them the most." So thanks for hanging with me today. I appreciate it, Hillary. Appreciate it very much. Okay, so that's all we got time for today. I do have to get some type of a rest today because I've got a couple one-on-ones later this afternoon. And then tomorrow, for everyone that has joined the 626 Performance Group, remember that tomorrow we have a bonus workshop for all of our 626 members, old and new, where I'm going to be teaching you how to turn your customer group. So the Belief Bridge, everything we just did was based on the psychology of the Belief Bridge. Okay. Now, here's what's really, really important is that when we understand kind of how it works, we start to take the same principles and we apply them to everything we do. Okay. So the same way I take someone from not giving a crap about my new supplement to caring about my new supplement is the same way I take someone from not caring about a business opportunity to caring about a business opportunity. It's the same way, even within the team, when you are leading people. Guess what? The Belief Bridge is the most effective way to get more people showing up for team calls. It's the most effective way to actually build a connection with them on those team calls. It's the most effective way to get people wanting to push for higher ranks. The Belief Bridge, the way I like to say it is one single entity that, if done right, becomes everything you're doing that's interconnected into one long ass bridge that takes people from the very first step, which is becoming interested in your products, all the way to the very last step, which is becoming a leader on your team. Does that make sense? So we have little bridges that we create for each specific thing that we're doing. But when we do it right, they all end up connecting to each other and building this long bridge. Does that make sense? So that's what I'm going to teach on tomorrow. Before I jump off, any questions that I can answer about the 626 program? Is there anyone that's like still thinking that has some questions that are like, thinking about joining, but I still just like really, really, really need some information? The call tomorrow. Good question. 11, same time as we did today, 11 a.m. Central for those that joined. Obviously won't be this exact same link. We'll have the link for that inside the 626. Today is not the last day to join. It's just the last day to join at the discounted prices. Okay. So you can join next Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday if you want. It's just going to cost you more money and you're not going to get the bonuses. Okay. So if you're interested in saving the most amount of money and getting the bonuses, today is the last day for that. After the 4 months, what's included? So when the 4 months is up, Megan, you got two options. You take all of the resources you gained during the program and you just run with them. You'll still have access to all the recordings. You'll have access to all of the workbooks that I put together. Okay. But like the group won't continue. You're paying for 4 months of the accountability. But we have a lot of people when we do small groups that end up loving them so much, they just kind of never leave. Okay. So that's the other cool thing is once you get in, you're grandfathered in at those prices. Okay. So when the next round comes around and the prices have gone up to $700, you can do a repeat round to continue getting the accountability and the structure and the support at the same price you bought in. Okay. But I mean, yeah, once the 4 months is done, obviously Josh isn't going to keep writing posts for you because you've already used what you paid for, but you will have access to all of the recordings and all of the workbooks and everything like that. You just won't get to continue in the Facebook group and continue with live calls. Make sense? I don't sell products. I promote travel. Would this be good? Something good for me? If you sell something, yes. If you sell some, we're all selling something. Okay. So even if it's not a specific product, okay, it is. And I think the reason you're asking that, Angel, I believe the business that you're in, you don't have a product, you just sell a business opportunity to essentially become a travel agent. Is that correct? Did I get that right? We have Sue that's in the group that's also from your company. The reality is, whether you're trying to get someone to buy a product or join a business opportunity, you're not going to do it without the belief bridge or some version of that, right? So absolutely, it's the same thing. Okay. And guys, this is the same thing that I've used to build a life coaching business, to sell courses and programs. The reality is, any webinar you get on with anyone that's making a shit ton of money and selling a bunch of people is using the belief bridge. They might use it a little bit differently, a little bit different of a process. But my mentor who does $10 million a year doing what I do, I got into his program and he was teaching his version of messaging. And I was like, oh, this is the belief bridge. He just has different terminology for it. He has, like, he calls it a little bit different thing, but it's literally the same thing when it's based on psychology. Okay. It's similar to the same thing. Okay. The difference is I take that and I teach it very specifically to the people I'm helping. He teaches it more as like a broad thing. And he literally says, this will work for anybody in any niche, which is really cool. Except that you then get inside his course and there's like 3,000 people and you're learning the principles of it, but how to specifically apply it to your brand and your product and your business, there you can't do that when there's 2,000 people, right? And that's why we're doing this inside a small group where I literally have the time to actually get to know your brand and your product and your services and your audience. And that's not a knock on my mentor, by the way. He's a badass. Okay. And if you can sell 2,500 people into learning the principles from you, abso-fucking-lutely go do that. But for me personally, this is the way I've always helped the most people get results. And we've done a lot of courses. If you guys read the email that I did the other day, I said I made my first $1 million selling a course called The Art of Recruiting. And it was a good freaking course. But like I mentioned about courses, it's one specific skill. And the people who already had the other skills grabbed onto it and were like, dude, I went from recruiting 5 people a month to recruiting 30 people a month. But then we had some other people that didn't have any of the supporting skills. And so even though it was good and they loved it, and to this day, they'll tell you they love Josh Coates, they didn't necessarily see positive results. We have seen the highest percent of tangible results with people when we run a small group that has a tracker, has accountability, and Josh knows you by name. There's just a totally different accountability that comes when there's 2,500 people in the group. It's really easy to kind of just like not show up for the calls, not watch the modules, and who the fuck knows? Like, if no one even knows your name, how do they even know if you participated or watched anything or did anything? And that's, again, that's not a knock on the people doing the courses. It's not a knock on courses. It's just that in general, courses are not created for performance. They're created for learning a specific skill. Okay. And network marketing, I will say, it's a different world. It really is. Like, you have to perform on a day-to-day basis. You can't just put together a launch and spend $40,000 on ads and have a whole bunch of people sign up. Like, there are things you got to do day to day to actually grow the business. And even in the course world, you can't really just spend 40 grand and make a shit ton of money, but that's what people like to think that you can do. The network marketing world is very, very dependent on your ability to build relationships. Like, that's just what it is. So if you don't have a good way of building an audience, getting engagement, and a good system for converting people, Josh Smile is about to come out for a second. Like, 95% of network marketers are just posting and praying. Like, that's what it is. Just making some posts, making some stories. There's not really a lot of intentionality behind what the message is or what the content is. It's just the game plan that it looks like to me. And I'm not saying that anyone's saying this, but this is what I see being done over and over. Make as much noise as possible and hope people eventually join you. And that really only works if you've got millions of dollars in advertising like Nike or Coca-Cola. And then your product is on the shelf that people walk by every single day. Okay. But we don't have Nike budgets. We don't have Michael Jordan taking pictures with our shoes. Okay. Like, we do things a little bit differently. Okay. Someone said, do you do any teaching on the more advanced strategies of funnels, email building, and ads for network marketers and need progress? So there's actually a bonus, Christine, that comes with the program. I haven't talked about it as much because most people aren't as concerned about that kind of stuff, but there is a bonus that you get that's called how to automate your business using Facebook and Instagram ads. And I do teach how to use ads even as a network marketer. I run a ton of what I call engagement ads, which basically means they are like my very best kind of like motivational short videos and stuff like that I literally put money on, and I run them to the audience that I want to attract. And then I just wake up every single day with new followers and new engagement because of these ads. Okay. So that's something that's like a little bit nice. It's a little bit advanced, but honestly, if you're someone who is short on time but have a little money, then you can literally put some money on some motivational posts that you're using, that instead of having to fight the algorithm, you can pay Facebook and Instagram money to just throw you into the algorithm. Okay. So that's something that I do in addition to organic marketing. I do think it's important to do both. Because if you have ads and people come to your page and see that you like have made 2 posts in your entire life, they're probably not following you or wanting to connect with. So the two kind of work together, but ads are a really, really great way to turbocharge the expanding and the engaging. Cool. And if you want to learn more about email marketing, just read more of my emails, because that's literally my favorite thing in the world. Our master coaches from our program. Awesome, Hillary. Welcome, friend. Welcome. Welcome to the program. I'm glad you were here today. Loved it. Loved getting to know you, friend. But our life coaches and master coaches, they literally, I mean, I tell them to do this. I'm like, take my emails, change out the words, and hit send. Like if you're selling the same thing I'm selling, like just steal my shit. Like that's why you paid me money to learn from me. I don't care if you steal my shit. We don't have the same audience. We're talking to different people. So absolutely, like there's a lot of things you can like watch me. And once you join the program, I will also tell you this. Everyone that was already in the 626, I challenged them to show up for my 3-day challenge. I said, I want you to be very careful though. Instead of taking a bunch of notes on what I say, I want you to watch how I say it, where I say it, when I say it. Because once you learn the belief bridge, now all of a sudden you show up on calls with Josh and you watch Josh use the belief bridge throughout the entire thing. And you can start to learn how to do things like me instead of just like trying to learn from. Does that make sense to everybody? So like once you understand the sales psychology stuff, like I don't necessarily want you listening to me as a student. I want you listening to me more like a student teacher, right? Like when you're a student teacher, what's the point? It's to go learn from someone who's already doing it. And what you're not like, oh, I'm a student teacher. Thank you so much for that new algebraic equation. Let me write that. No, you're like, oh, I love how she inserted that here. I love how she had people raise their hand. Like you're there to study how it's performed. Does that make sense? And once you join me in my program, your job is to stop taking so many notes about the things that I say and instead pay attention to why I said that. Because there is a reason for everything I say and everything I do. Okay. Even today, talking about the expand, engage, convert, what did I do? I made everyone go, so he's going to cover the engagement. How the fuck do I expand and how the fuck do I convert? That was very intentional. I wanted to plant a bigger picture of what we're addressing today. Because if you're not careful, again, I could have got on here and wrote posts for people. And if I wouldn't have planted seeds of there being more to it, you would have been like, oh, cool. He wrote a post for me. Now I'm good. Now I can go do it by myself. Okay. It's very important that I show you that's not the only thing there is to business. You can't just go make one good post and yay, my business is fixed. There's different elements and different moving pieces. Okay. And for those of you that join the program, we are going to talk about how to put together your own workshop to invite people to so that you can use more of like a live, energetic, educational setting to sell your stuff, but also for business opportunity stuff. It's one of the best ways in the world to sell. Okay. I have some really good systems on how to sell one-on-one in the DMs, but here's what we do. We do one-to-one sales with people. And from that, we close, let's just say X%. If you hate algebra, I'm about to do some algebra. Okay. We close X%. Okay. Let's say it's 20%. So let's say we close 20% of people just from having the one-on-one convo. Okay. But then, you know what else we do? We get another 20 to 40%. They say they want to join, but don't officially click and order. They don't pay. Anybody got any of those? Like got some links out to some people? So for us, yes, we do follow-ups. Yes, we stay in touch, but then we put on free events that we then invite all of those people to, and we give them a second way to purchase. Some people want the one-on-one conversation. Some people do better with like a high energy. There's deadlines, there's bonuses, there's prizes. Okay. The event also gives you a chance to create a deadline. Without an event, like let's be real, most of the people you're talking to, they really can sign up today or next week or next month. And a lot of people really like to, I'll sign up next month. I got a lot going on this month. What happens next month? There's a lot going on next month too, okay? If you are an adult, there's a lot going on every freaking month, all the time. And the second you think you find, yeah, like I finally am feeling real good about my summer routine. And then yesterday, my wife was like, I can't believe school starts in 5 weeks. I was like, what? 5 weeks? Like, I'm just now feeling good about this routine. And you're telling me in a few weeks, I got to flip it all back to the school time routine. So there's always a reason for people to say no. Having some type of an event gives people something that gives them a reason to say yes. Okay. We very intentionally like have discounts during launches like this because while we've got this many people here and this many people on and paying attention and excited about the content, we want to give you a reason to join now versus waiting till next month. Does that make sense? And you can, I'll be super honest, you can join the small group next month if you want to. It'll just cost you more money. And that is not a sales tactic. That's like me being truthful. Now, raising the price every couple of months is a sales tactic, and we do that on purpose. It is a $700 a month program. That's what we literally sold it for 2 years. Okay, so that is like the real value, the real price, and we will be getting back to that price. But when we launch something new, we always have some discounts to get some people in, get some powerful testimonials, get an awesome community so that it's easier to sell 30 to 60 days from now when we got like 40 testimonials. Cool. See, you're already learning from me. You're already learning what we're doing behind the scenes. But I will say adding in some like free events, workshops, things like that can be a huge boost to your sales because it's a different type of person that buys in the two environments. And if you only do one and not the other, you miss out. I know people in my industry that only do the big launches and don't do any one-on-one sales. And in my opinion, they're also missing out because there's a lot of people that will only buy by having a one-on-one conversation with someone and gaining that trust. Is there a link here for those that haven't taken advantage of the one-on-one? Yeah, of course. Absolutely. So give me one sec here. And actually, I was going to say this too. If you're here and we had a lot of twos earlier when I said, who, one who's joined, two who's thinking about it. If you are still like a two, you're like, I'm not sure, but I'm thinking about it. Okay. What you can do, I'm going to give you this link. You can go fill out this application for the small group. Okay. And as long as you fill this out and book your call today with someone, we will still honor the prices and the bonuses. Okay. As long as you book the call today, you don't have to have the call today. You just have to book the call today. Does that make sense? So Chelsea is the main one taking those calls. Oh, Chelsea is already messaging you. There you go. Chelsea's on top of shit, man. So you can get on a call with someone from my team. It'll probably be Chelsea and have a chat with her about kind of what you're thinking, what you're going through, all of that jazz. She is a badass life coach, but also knows the details of the program. Okay. Claudia said, I love the scripts. Even my husband asked me for a copy. I just need more people to talk to and how to approach them before I get to the script. And that's what we're going to work on inside the group, how to get more people so that we have ongoing people to talk to. Cool. I love that, Claudia. All right, friends. Love you so much. Thank you so much for hanging out. Oh, what are the bonuses if you join today? Sorry, I just saw that question. Let me pop up my slides and I will tell you. Where's my slides at? I kind of do new bonuses, different bonuses like every single time. So I don't even always remember what they are. Let's see here. So you'll get instant access to the 6 Days to Diamond. That's a program that walks you through creating your specific and personal messaging, as well as something that are called your cocaine promises that we use inside our one-on-one messages when someone asks for information. You also get instant access to the Facebook and Instagram ads for growing your following engagement that I already kind of talked about earlier. The live workshop tomorrow on turning your customer group into a business opportunity breeding ground. And then, you're also going to get, everyone that joins gets a free one-on-one with me. I had a bonus the other day that if you joined on like day one, we were going to like work you in the first 7 days. But even now, if you join, you're not going to get it with me in the next 7 days, but you will get a one-on-one with me during your 4 months in the program. Cool. Okay. Jelena also wants a message from Chelsea. And yeah, so you can fill out the application. When you fill out the application, you get an automated email that'll give you a calendar, a link to Chelsea's calendar. Or if you'd rather just reach out to her, you can do that too, and she can get it set up. Sometimes she can work you into some specific times that she might not have blocked off on her calendar, but she might be able to work you in, during like a lunch break or something like that. Chelsea's a badass. She's at home with 2 kids. I would love for her to teach more often in our programs, but she's got like juggling kids on her lap all the time, and sometimes it's like, I would love to teach, but like this is what's going to be happening all day. But some of you will have her as your life coach in the program. So I don't feel like I've talked about that enough. When you join the 626 small group, you get assigned one of our master coaches as your personal life coach for the next 4 months. And you get 1 session a month with them as a part of the price. You don't pay extra for that. It's just built in. I technically pay out of my own pocket so that everyone can have their own life coaching session. It's really important to me, because when you're in a group with other people, sometimes the comparison game comes out. Sometimes you feel behind. Sometimes you're just having a rough month. And that one-on-one connection with a life coach where you get your own dedicated time and space to just work through the shit that's going on in your head, that is going to get you where you need to be to lean back into the program and make sure you're able to take full advantage of it. Okay. So we basically, in every single possible way, have created this program to be fail proof. Okay. The only way you're going to fail in this program is if you just 100% decide not to check into anything that we're doing. But even that's kind of hard when you have a one-on-one call coming up with a life coach. So, I mean, you would almost have to just disappear to another planet to fail in this program. Okay. We very intentional, and that's why I call it a performance group. Okay. This group was designed to help people perform. Yes, there's some learning to it, but also with that, there's accountability. With that, there's a life coach. With that, there's Josh literally writing content for you. I mean, anything and everything we could think of that we've ever done that's helped people, we put into this program. Okay. It probably should be a $5,000 or $6,000 program if I'm being perfectly honest. But I know that in network marketing, it takes a little bit longer to make $5,000 or $6,000 back, because you get a commission off of the products and then you got to build up volume. There's more moving pieces, right? When I did something similar to this for life coaches, it was a $10,000 program. Okay. Because with life coaches, they can charge whatever they want and keep all the money. With network marketers, we very intentionally mark things down to make it a little bit easier for you to get a return on your investment. Because for me, ROI is really, really important. Okay. Um, Christine, if you had a call with someone that you didn't super jive with, yeah, you can absolutely email us and ask to transfer to another life coach. It's totally fine. We've got a handful of them that have, I was going to say volunteer. They haven't volunteered their time. We pay them for their time. But we have some of our master coaches that, like, we have one who is literally a pharmacist, and she just does not have extra time on her schedule to like fit other people in, because she's also growing her own business. But yeah, if you didn't vibe, absolutely shoot us an email, and we'll send you off to someone else. Okay, sound good? All right. Okay, friends, I love you very much. I got to go recharge, eat some lunch, maybe float around in the pool for a little bit before my one-on-ones this afternoon. But thank you so much for spending this week with me. I appreciate you so much. I love you so much. And even if you don't join the group, I want to make sure and say this. Even if you don't join the group, do me a favor, commit to your growth. Okay. I got a couple free books on the website you can get. Got a free podcast that you can listen. More than anything in the world, I want you to find your path to success. But you will never find your path to success sitting still. Okay. Please remember, you can steer a moving car and you can go in a new direction pretty quick. There's not really anything you can do with a parked car. Like, pretty much nothing. You can turn the wheel. You can, I mean, in my Bronco, I got goat modes, guys. There's